أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله من أول الدنيا إلى فنائها ومن الآخرة إلى بقائها الحمد لله على كل نعمة وأستغفر الله من كل ذنب وأتوب إليه وهو أرحم الراحمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا بالقاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك توعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. It is the night of the first of Dhilqadah, one of the 4 months that are sacred, Ashhur al-Hurum, the most sacred months. The first one was Rajab, the second is Dhilqadah, third is Dhil-Hijjah, and the fourth is Muharram. You've heard a lot about Chelleh, that is, people when they observe observances for 40 days, i'tikaf and sometimes fasting and worship, or they make something, they vow or they make binding something upon themselves. Like sometimes people, they go on a Chelleh for a 40 days to Masjid Sahla, Masjid Kufa, or one of the sacred shrines of Ma'asumeen alayhim salam, or in Qom to Masjid Jamkaran, for example, or to the Haram of Hazrat Ma'asuma Salamullahi alayha. So all these are good. Now when you look back into Quran, the only Chelleh means the 40 days, observing 40 days. The only Chelleh that the Almighty Allah has emphasized and prescribed and has mentioned is the one that he has to Prophet Musa alayhi salatu wassalam. And such a Chelleh or such an observance that the Almighty has said it is definitely effective, where in Quran he says that وَوَعَدْنَا مُوسَى 30 لَيْلَةً وَأَتْمَمْنَاهَا بعشر فتم ميقات ربه 40 ليلة. So Prophet Musa alayhi salam was summoned, was invited to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala for 30 days, and then he extended that to another 10 days, which was 40. So these days that Prophet Musa alayhi salam was invited, they start from tonight, tomorrow being the first of the month of Dhilqadah. And then after the completion of these 40 days, that is فَتَمَّ مِيقَاتُ رَبِّهِ 40 لَيْلَةً, after being there by the Almighty on Mount Tur for 40 nights. Now it ends with the Eid al-Adha. And then when it ends, these 10 days that Allah had extended to those 30 days, a surah is revealed. وَالْفَجْرِ وَلَيَالٍ عَشْرٍ. He swears by the daybreak and then the 10 nights. So these 40 nights that start from tonight until the night of the Eid al-Adha are that special prescription that has been stated and mentioned by Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala in the glorious Quran. So starting from the 1st of Dhilqadah until the 10th of Dhil-Hijjah. So this time it is a special time. And what joy did Prophet Musa also get from it, that he rushed to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala when that invite was given to him. He rushes to Allah. Now the Almighty, he says, وَمَا أَعْجَلَكَ عَنْ قَوْمِكَ يَا مُوسَى وَمَا أَعْجَلَكَ. Why such a rush, Musa? In reply, Prophet Musa says, وَعَجِلْتُ إِلَيْكَ رَبِّي لِتَرْضَى. That I rush to you, O Lord, so that I could get your contentment, your rida, your satisfaction. So, inshallah, we also benefit from these special days and these special nights. Now, the prescriptions that are given by the noble, by the Urafa, for these nights and days, among them we find one from Ayatullah Allama Tabatabai, the author of Tafsir al-Mizan. He gave special instructions for this month. There is a book called Al-Muraqibat. Now this Al-Muraqibat, it's A'mal al-Sana. The actions and a'mal and observances for the entire year have been mentioned over there. Now one of the special instructions given for this month are that a ghusl tawbah be done every Sunday, and then there is a 2 rakat prayer which is called Salat al-Tawbah, be offered every Sunday. And then one of the azkar he used to give and prescribed for those who who love to be in suluk and then who want to prepare themselves, make themselves and arrive at higher ranks, that every day of these 40 days starting from tonight you abide and observe one of the azkar, whatever zikr you like. For example, Ya Raqib 1,000 times every day, or istighfar, whatever format you like. Astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayk, astaghfirullah rabbi wa atubu ilayk, or whatever, 1,000 times. So Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum, whatever zikr that you are familiar with and you feel happy when you have that zikr recited, do that 1,000 times every day, starting from tonight and until the night of Eid al-Adha, the 10th of Dhilqadah. Now that zikr which makes you feel happy. Now one of the other things that is important in these nights and days is that we have to look into our flaws. Where is our weakness that is damaging us, that is not allowing us to ascend? So those weaknesses have to be found, and that troubleshoot has to be done so that those flaws, they are removed from our existence. So it is the month of Dhilqadah, and in this month it is the month wherein Allah, He answers the du'as especially against the oppressors. And it is also known as being the Arba'in Kalimiyya, that is Chelleh Kalimiyya, meaning the 40 days of Prophet Musa alayhi salatu wassalam. Now this is another opportunity for those who were left behind in the month of Ramadan. So there was a month of Ramadan, there was an extensive program from the eve of the first until the first of Shawwal, day of Eid, and then Allah gave you a gap, Shawwal the month, to have a relax and rest. And again from tonight it's a busy season in observances, a'mal and azkar. So all those opportunities that we could not avail in the month of Ramadan, Allah has given another opportunity that we can get to that all what we have lost in that beloved month, in that sacred month, and all of those who were left behind in the month, they can catch up in these 40 days. Now, when you look into Quran, it says, Inna iddat ash-shuhur inda Allah ithna ashara shahran. The count, the number of months with Allah, they are 12. Fi kitabillah yawma khalaqa as-samawati wal ard. Now this is in the book of Allah, ever since He created the skies and the earth. Minha arba'atun hurum. 4 of these months, they are sacred. Which 4 are they? Rajab, Dhilqadah, Dhilhajj and Muharram. Now the sanctity and the azamat of these months is such that the good that we do, it is the reward of that also increases, intensifies, and the bad also that is done, that also increases. If God forbid someone kills another person in this month, or if he damages his limbs, or some kind of a harm is afflicted by him by a person in this month, or for example in these road kills, in these accidents that take place, if someone was hurt or damaged or killed, now the blood money that it is if it is in these months, it escalates by 30%. If someone harms someone or kills someone, God forbid, in the month of Sha'ban, it is going to be the blood money of that one person. But in these 4 months, it's going to be a 30% extra because of the sanctity of this month, of these 4 months. So killing is forbidden, war is forbidden. And when you look into Quran, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الشَّهْرِ الْحَرَامِ قِتَالٍ فِيهِ قُلْ قِتَالٌ فِيهِ كَبِيرٌ. And when they ask you about the sacred months and what is forbidden in them, Allah says killing in them, it is forbidden. So you cannot embark a war on anyone in this month. And this sanctity did exist even in the era of Jahiliyyah, ignorance before Islam. These months, they were sacred, and Islam also honored that sanctity of these months and continued with the honor. Says qitalun fihi kabir. Kabir means it's a major sin, killing someone, especially in these months. The punishment of that also it intensifies. But if you were attacked, you can defend, but you have to defend, and that is also permitted by Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Now, when you look back into history, all of these mala'in, when they did embark on any of these wars and battles, it were in these sacred months. Yazid, it was in the month of Muharram, that was haram. Saddam, it was in the month of Rajab, which again was haram. So likewise, if you look back into other wars also, it's the same thing. That is, all these months that were forbidden to fight or embark a war on anyone else were the months that they broke the honor and the sanctity of these months. Now, the other thing that we learn from this, from these ayat, are that in the era of Jahiliyyah, now this is being reported by Sayyid ibn Taus. He says that in the a'mal and observances for the month of Dhilqadah, that even in the era of ignorance, people there who were oppressed and they were not given their rights by the oppressors, they waited for these Ashhur al-Hurum, for these sacred months to arrive. For the months to arrive and for them to curse the oppressors in this month. Because they also had that aqidah that du'as in this month, they are granted. So every dua in these 4 months it is granted, and in particular towards the oppressors and zalimeen and the oppression they have on the mazlumeen, that is definitely granted in these months. And we also ask Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala on this night of the 1st of Dhilqadah that all oppressors worldwide, wheresoever they are, in whatever form they are, in whatever nation and creed they are oppressing and terrorizing them, Allah remove them all from the surface of this earth. So it's one of those beautiful months where in du'as they are granted, hajat they are given, and especially when it comes to the oppressors. Now, when we started the talk, we talked about this Chelleh, or the Arba'in, observing these 40 days. What is that? And it was mentioned that the Chelleh or the Arba'iniyah that we find that Allah mentions in the glorious book is these 40 days of Prophet Musa. And at the end of these 40 days, Allah the Almighty, He says, قَالَ يَا مُوسَى إِنِّ اسْتَفَيْتُكَ عَلَى النَّاسِ بِالرِّسَالَاتِ وَبِكَلَامِ, that Musa, I have chosen you over the people with my message and my speech. That is that bonding and connecting with Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. After these 40 days, Allah, He excelled and exalted and gave him Tawrat. So he arrived at that high rank towards the end of these 40 days. Now 40 days, if we want to adapt something on us, or if we want to remove something from our system that is negative, so we have to work on that for 40 days. Meaning that, for example, if I want to offer the night prayers, or if I want to invest on performing my Fajr prayers in a better way. So here, if I could do it for 40 days, then it's concrete and confirmed that it will be part of my existence, part of my program for the duration of my life. So if I start working on that Salatul Fajr or on the night prayers, initially I may do it for a few days, 4 days, 5 days, maybe 7 days. On the 8th day, I could not do it. I have to start all over again. And the second time when I try, it may go up to 12 or 11 days. And it may break after that. We don't have to lose hope. We go continue, and then maybe this time we reach 20 days without a break. We could do it. So there may be another breakthrough there. And then after that, maybe 30 days, 35 days, 40 days. Once you've made it to the 40 days, then it will be part of your program, and then you will not miss it again. So then it will become just like every other thing that you do. Likewise, if there are qualities that are negative that need to be removed, for example, if a person is, God forbid, afflicted or contaminated in lying or backbiting, then that also is the same thing. Just work on it for 40 days, and then it will be away from you. Here, Hadith says, "Man akhlasa lillahi arba'ina yawman, fajjarallah yanabi al-hikmati min qalbihi ala lisanih." If someone was sincere for 40 days, Allah will make wisdom erupt from his heart to his tongue. So he will get to those ranks. Now, what do we do in these 40 days? It may not be possible for us to observe 40 days of fasts and prayers. But then what is possible for every one of us, it's to observe the intake, what we eat. That is, it has to be halal. It shouldn't be najis, not contaminated, touched by someone who is faithless or who is a kafir, or anything that is najis which is forbidden to eat. So control the intake of food. What we say, our words also should be monitored and measured, and then our thoughts also should be pure and purified. So this is definitely we can do for these 40 days, which start from tonight. Now this was a little bit about these 40 days that we have. Now, one of the other things is that people during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they used to abandon everything and then go and seclude themselves, and then away from the community, away from the people, like what we have here in the monkhood, in the monkhood in Christianity, for example. So here in a hadith, Ya Usman, Inna Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, it is from Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salam, says, Inna Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala lam yaktub alayna ar-rahbaniyya. Allah, He has not written this monasticism on us, the Muslims, that is keeping away from the community and then devoting ourselves to spiritual work without having any kind of a contact with the community. This is called rahbaniyya, and that is forbidden. We are not allowed. And then he says that innama rahbaniyyatu ummati al-jihad fi sabilillah. If you want to know that this monasticism of my nation, it is struggle in the way of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. You have to be in the community, you have to be in contact with everyone else, and then also at the same time you perform your duties. And here he continues saying that وَخَالِطُ النَّاسَ بِأَلْسِنَتِكُمْ وَأَبْدَانِكُمْ وَزَايِلُوهُمْ بِقُلُوبِكُمْ وَأَعْمَالِكُمْ. So be among the people with your tongue and with your body, but your heart and your deeds, your actions, you separate from them. So meaning that a believer, a mu'min, he should be in the Muslim community, but his heart, it should be occupied with the remembrance of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. Now these days they are an opportunity for those who were left behind in the month of Ramadan to get ready to reach the caravan of the divine servants on the day of Arafah and Eid al-Adha. The best action in these 40 days and all the days, all these special days and nights that we have, it's the advice of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to Amirul Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salatu wasalam in the khutbah Sha'baniyah, where he says that the best of actions will be to refrain from sins, to put away the wrong, the sins. So this was a little bit about the month of Dhilqadah, and one of the a'mal that we have, it is on a Sunday, and that is a gift of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala to Rasulullah and his nation. That is, you offer these 2 rakat prayers, 4 rakat prayers, 2 in sets of 2. Anytime on a Sunday, you perform a ghusl and then you perform a wudu, and offer these 4 rak'at. After Surah Al-Hamd, you recite Surah Al-Ikhlas 3 times, Surah Al-Nas once, and Surah Al-Falaq once. So these 4 rak'at will be done, and after that you say Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh 70 times, and there is a small 1-line dua, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-ali al-azim, Ya Azizu Ya Ghaffar, Ighfir li dhunubi wa dhunuba jami' al-mu'minina wal-mu'minat, فَإِنَّهُ لَا يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ إِلَّا أَنْتَ. Now, the benefits of this, it is forgiveness of sins, acceptance of tawbah, debts being paid, and then the death and dying as a mu'min, as a believer, and then faith that the iman, it will remain intact, and an enlightened and a spacious grave will be given to us, and the parents also, they will be happy with us. Forgiveness of the sins of parents, and abundant provisions for the offsprings and children, and then kindness of Malakul Maut at the time of death, are all these special bestowals that are given for these prayers that are offered on a Sunday of this beautiful month of Dhilqadah. And also the first of Dhilqadah, it is the birthday of Hazrat Ma'soomah Salamullahi alayha. I'll quickly recite a few phrases of the ziyarat of Hazrat Ma'soomah Salamullahi alayha. Assalamu alayki ya binta Rasulullah. Assalamu alayki ya binta Fatimata wa Khadija. Assalamu alayki ya binta Amir al-Mu'mineen. Assalamu alayki ya binta al-Hasani wal-Husayn. Assalamu alayki ya binta Waliyallah. السلام عليك يا أخت ولي الله. السلام عليك يا عمة ولي الله. السلام عليك يا بنت موسى بن جعفر ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك عرف الله بيننا وبينكم في الجنة، وحشرنا في زمرتكم، وأوردنا حوض نبيكم، وسقانا بكأس جدكم من يد علي بن أبي طالب صلوات الله عليكم. أسأل الله أن يرينا فيكم السرور والفرج، وأن يجمعنا وإياكم في زمرة جدكم محمد صلى الله عليه وآله، وأن لا يسلبنا معرفتكم إنه ولي قدير. أتقرب إلى الله بحبكم والبراءة من أعدائكم، والتسليم إلى الله راضيا به غير منكر ولا مستكبر ولا يقين وما أتى به محمد وبه راض. نطلب بذلك وجهك يا سيدي اللهم ورضاك والدار الآخرة. يا فاطمة اشفعي لي في الجنة، فإن لك عند الله شأنا من الشأن. اللهم إني أسألك أن تختم لي بالسعادة، ولا تسلب مني ما أنا فيه، ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. Now this was the dua, that is the ziyarat that we have for Hazrat Ma'soomah Salamullahi alayha, sister of Imam Rida alayhi salam, daughter of Imam Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salatu wassalam. Now, this ziyarat was said by an Imam Ma'asum, for Hazrat Ma'asuma Salamullah alayha. When you look into Quran, there is an ayah that says that the heaven, it is waiting and longing for a few. And among them are 4 women. And Quran mentions 2 of them in Surah Tahrim. Say, ضَرَبَ اللَّهُ مَثَلًا لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا امْرَأَةَ فِرْعَوْنَ إِذْ قَالَتْ رَبِّ ابْنِ لِي عِنْدَكَ بَيْتًا فِي الْجَنَّةِ وَنَجِّنِي مِنْ فِرْعَوْنَ وَعَمَلِهِ وَنَجِّنِي مِنَ الْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. Says Allah sets forth a parable for those for the believers. That is, when it says believers, both men and women, an example for every one of them. Who is that? The wife of Pharaoh, when she says that God, make for me a house in the heaven next to you, and grant me salvation, save me from Pharaoh and his action, وَنَجِّنِي مِنَ الْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ, and save me from these oppressing lot, this nation that is an oppressor. So one of them, it's the wife of Pharaoh, and the other one, it is Maryam Salamullahi alayhima. Not only are they an example for women, but they are an example for all mu'mineen, that is men and women. So perfection, it is for the soul. And that soul, it's neither male nor female. So male and female are for the body, not for the soul. So we have an existence that is as a human body, and that human body is governed, or it's run by the soul that is in the body. So the body, it has the gender, the soul doesn't have that gender. So the gender is for the body. So when talking about this issue, we create limitations for women when Quran or Islam, it hasn't restricted anyone in any way. So if a woman wants to reach those high ranks of Kamal and perfection, the doors are open for her. If a man wants to reach to that high rank, he also can get to those ranks. Now there have been women who have arrived and reached that rank, but very few of them. For example, even in our day-to-day life, there are ladies, there are women who are great and who have those firewalls removed. For example, one of the ulama, he says that I was invited to recite in the month of Muharram in Kashan. Kashan is about 60 kilometers from Qom. Says I was invited there to recite the majalis of Ashura, and the majalis there in Iran, in Iraq, in Pakistan, in India, Afghanistan, all this Shia world, majalis, they start from the Fajr, after Fajr, and it's back to back every hour until late midnight. He says I also came to the town and I had all my majalis and my recitations back and booked. An old lady, she came to me and she said, "Oh Sheikh Habibullah, can you recite a majlis at my place as well?" A very old lady. He says that I haven't got any time, I'm already booked and I have committed to everyone, and there isn't any way that I can come to your place. She insisted a lot, and now when he wanted to get away from this old lady, he says that I'll give her a time, and that time people, they are all asleep, and it's hot summer now, and she also want to ask me to come and recite at that time. I told her, for example, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock after Zohr, 3 p.m. And she said, that's a very good time. Yeah, come at that time. So I committed and I started reciting at her place. I went to her house. A poor lady, a very humble dwelling she had, and she had made a small mimbar, a pulpit, on which I was to sit and recite. Says I recited at her place for 9 days, and the day of Ashura, then I was extra busy with all these majalis backed and lined up, Says, if I don't go to her place one day, she won't mind. Says, I was dead tired and I came to my house and I just lied down to have a little rest. Says, I put my head on the pillow to have a little nap, and the moment I closed my eyes, I saw Hazrat Fatima Salamullahi alayha say to me, Ashiq Habibullah, where are you? Everyone is waiting here for you. Says, the moment I saw Hazrat Fatima say that message, I just panicked, shook, and I got up and I rushed to the lady's house. I came to that house of that lady, and that old woman, she was standing outside waiting for Shaykh Habibullah to come. And then the moment she saw me, she says, where have you been, Shaykh Habibullah? You've been late, you are late. Hazrat Fatima Salamullah alayha, she has been waiting all this time in that majlis. Now this Shaykh, he sees something in his dream. That lady sees in reality that Hazrat Fatima is sitting in that majlis. So women also, they can arrive at those high ranks where these firewalls, they are all removed. They can see the haqa'iq, they can see the realities, they can hear the realities, and that is something that happens and has taken place. One of the du'as that we have in the Munajat Sha'baniyya, there we say, Allahumma arinal ashya'a kama hiya. That is, Allah, make it as such that I see the haqa'iq, the realities, the ashya as they are. That is, I see the reality of everything. I hear what is the reality of everything. So here in this ayah, say, ضَرَبَ اللَّهُ مَثَلًا. Allah sets an example, and that is the wife of Fir'aun. She stood against a zalim and oppressor, her own husband, and then when she was about to be punished, and the punishment also, it is one of those capital punishments that Fir'aun had to someone who stood against him, and it is his own wife this time. So the Quran says, وَفِرْعَوْنَ ذِي الْأَوْتَادِ. That is, Fir'aun, he was mighty. In the tafasir, it is said that awtad, it is the plural of watad. Watad in Arabic means nails. Means Fir'aun zil awtad. Fir'aun had these big nails. That is, he used to nail them in the ground, 4 nails in the ground, and then people, and the person who was going to be punished was tied to these 4 nails, every one hand to one nail, the other one to the other, and the 2 legs also stretched apart, tied to those nails. So this person was grounded and nailed. And then a huge big boulder was rolled onto this person's chest, and he was crushed to death. Now Asiya Salamullah alayha also was to be punished in the same way. It says in those last moments when she was departing from this world, she says, Rabbi ibnili indaka baytan fil jannah, that Allah make for me a house in the heaven, and I want that house to be next to you, the Almighty Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Now that is regarding women. Now when we look into the ahadith that talk about the end of time and the return of Imam al-Asr alayhi salatu wassalam, it's the same thing there. It says, يَجِيءُ وَاللَّهِ ثَلَاثُ مِئَةٍ وَبِضْعَةَ عَشَرَ رَجُلًا فِيهِمْ خَمْسُونَ امْرَأَةً. Says, when Imam returns, there will be 300 and a few who will be, that is 313, 300 and a few who will serve the noble cause of the Imam. 50 of them, they are women. يَجْتَمِعُونَ بِمَكَّةَ عَلَى غَيْرِ مِيعَادٍ أُولَٰئِكَ أَوْلِيَاءِ حَقًّا يَجْتَمِعُونَ فِي مَكَّةَ. Says that they will get together instantly, all 313, all of them, and then they are the ones who Allah says, أُولَٰئِكَ أَوْلِيَاءِ حَقًّا, they are my friends, they are my as custodians, they are my awliya. Now, when there's a book called Rayahin al-Sharia, all these miraculous women and ladies who had performed great tasks, they have been mentioned over there. A brief biography of every one of them is mentioned there. So women, they can arrive to all these high ranks and stations, and the doors of the Kamul and Kamal, they are open before everyone. And among one of these ladies of our time is the daughter of Marhum Ayatullah al-Udma Muhammad Ali Araki Rahmatullahi alayh. After Imam Khomeini, he was the Marja Taqleed for 2-3 years, and then a very noble person, a very noble person. He used to lead the prayers in the haram of Hazrat Ma'suma. The Zohrain prayers were led by him. And a very small group of mu'mineen, they used to participate in his prayers. He was very aged, more than 100 years his age. And then he used to offer the prayers, and the prayers were quite lengthy. They used to take about 40 minutes, only the Zohrain prayers. So for that long duration of time, so the people, the participants in his Jama'at also were very few, maybe 40, less than 40 people, mu'mineen, they used to participate in his prayers. And then they used to come there, and every day you would see that the people have come there with their kaffans, with their shrouds, and it was circulated in the Jama'at, and everyone signed. So starting from Ayatullah Araki and to all of those congregants, they used to sign on it, which it was placed in their kaffan as a shahadat, as a testimony that that all of these people who have signed that kaffan, they testify that this person was a good person, and Allah has special mercy, extra mercy on them. His daughter, another noble lady, she also passed away just 3 years ago. When she wanted to go for Hajj, and living in Qom and had no connection with anyone, she says that how am I going to perform this Hajj? I haven't been in contact with any men at all, and then going to Mecca and those millions of people getting together, I will not be able to perform Hajj. He says that the women from one of the other ulama's family, they are going for Hajj. You can join that group and it will be easy. And then if you do get scared and afraid, just say Ya Hafidhu Ya Khabir. So recite that and you will be helped. Now she says that she comes to Medina, and then after performing the ziyarat of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, comes to Mecca now. Now in Mecca, looking at those hundreds of thousands of people in Masjidul Haram and performing the tawaf, all chock-a-block, and then she says that I just shook at seeing that large congregation, that how am I going to perform Hajj here and this tawaf with everyone mingling around along with every other person. She started crying, and amidst her cry she was reminded of that zikr that her father had given. Says, I was reminded of that, and I quickly said, Ya Hafidhu Ya Khabir. And the moment I said Ya Hafidhu Ya Khabir, Ya Hafidh means, both of them, they are the names of Allah. Hafidh means he who protects, that is from Hifadha. And then Khabir means who is all aware. Says Ya Hafidhu Ya Khabir, the moment I said that, I hear a caller say that come stand and join and perform the tawaf with the Imam of your time, that is Imam al-Asr alayhi salam. She says, I stood and I see that a circle opens before me, and it is Imam alayhi salam in front of me, and I held the Aba of the Imam. I performed those 7 rounds, and in that tawaf no one touched me, no one came closer to me, although there were hundreds of thousands of people in that Masjidul Haram, but no one could touch me. And the moment the tawaf ended, it was the Imam was ghaib, and everything was back to normal. So there are ladies, there are women who have arrived and who have seen these realities and haqa'iq and facts, and among them are ladies who have reached and travelled these high and highest stages. Among them is Hazrat Fatima Salamullahi alayha Ma'suma of Qum. That is, she has reached the stages of Ismat. That is Hazrat Fatima Ma'suma. The ziyarat that we just recited is also from an Imam who is Ma'sum. He says, Ya Fatima, Ishfa'i li fil Jannah. That is, Fatima, you be a shafi' for us in the heaven, intercede for us in the heaven, fil Jannah. فَإِنَّ لَكِ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ شَأْنًا مِنَ الشَّأْنِ. Because you have a rank that has been bestowed unto you from Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Now in the holy city of Qom, now when you look into the seerah or the history of Hazrat Ma'sooma Salamullah alayha, in her house she is 6 years old, and Imam Kadhim alayhi salam, people, they used to come to him and they used to ask questions, and at times she responds, and then Imam says in reply to the response that was given by the daughter to those people who were questioning and inquiring, Imam says Fadaha Abuha. That is, an Imam Ma'soom, Imam Kadhim alayhi salam, saying to his daughter, 5 years old, that Fadaha Abuha means may her father be sacrificed unto her. Now, in the holy city of Qom, by the sacred shrine of Hazrat Ma'sooma, there is a graveyard, a cemetery. It's called Shaykhan. Shaykhan, and many of the noble ulama and some of the ashab of the A'imma, they have been buried there. Among them, there is Muhaddis Qummi. Now, all those years that I was in Qom, I couldn't enter this maqbara of Muhaddis Qummi, not once. And since that time until now, that whenever I have been there, I couldn't go in, because it's all filled and packed with women, ladies. And it is renowned and famous that those who, especially those who cannot to find the best of matches and spouses, you can come and have a Quran recited there, or Quran given as hadiya to the Muhaddis Qummi's maqbara, and your haja, it is granted there at the sacred maqbara of Muhaddis Qummi. So it's always packed with women. One of the Sheikh Abbas Qummi, the author of Mafatihul Jinan, he says that once I saw in a Mukashifa Marhum Muhaddis Qummi, and I said to him that your status and your rank that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala has given to you, is that enough? He says that Hazrat Ma'sooma's rank and station, is that enough for Qum? Will she be the Shafi for the people of Qum? In reply, he says he has a sharp look at me and says to me that that is Muhaddis Qummi, I am sufficient for the inhabitants of Qum. There are about 2-3 million now. Says Hazrat Ma'sooma, the rank and station she has, she can be a Shafi for the entire world. That is that high rank and high station that has been given to Hazrat Ma'sooma Salamullahi alayha. Now, one of the other ulama that we have who passed away just recently in the 1998-99 is Ayatullah Marashi Najafi. His father, Ayatullah Sayyid Mahmud Najafi, he has a Chelleh, that is these 40 days of observances. He says that I had this Chelleh, and my wish was to have a tawassul, and in that tawassul I get to know the grave and the burial place of Hazrat Fatima Salamullahi alayha, that is daughter of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. He says that it was the 40th day, or the night of the 40th, the eve of the 40th day. There, one of the A'imma, Imam Baqir, Imam As-Sadiq alayhi salam, I saw him, and they said to me, Alayka bi karimati ahlil bayt. He says, Karimat ahlil bayt, yes, that's who I'm after. Says once again they repeated, Alayka bi karimati ahlil bayt, that is in Qum. That what you are after, that is you are after finding your mother's grave of Hazrat Fatima Salamullahi alayha, says that is in Qum. So all the benevolence, all the beauty, all the bestowals that Allah wanted to be given to the grave of Hazrat Fatima which is not present today, says that has been given to the grave of Hazrat Ma'suma Salamullahi alayha. Now, many of these nobles who have had these visitations with Imam al-Asr alayhi salatu wassalam, they say that some of the requests that people they sent to Hazrat Ma'suma, because we believe that every message and every hajat that is sent to Imam al-Asr alayhi any imam or any imam zadeh, that is forwarded to the inbox of Imam al-Asr alayhi salam. Says all these hajat that they come to all these different inboxes and they are forwarded to the Imam alayhi salam, because he is biyumnihi ruziq al-wara, that the distribution center, and from him every hajat of every person is granted. Says that those hajat that come to Hazrat Ma'suma Salamullah alayha, Imam says that I won't precede, she will provide them herself. That is that great azamat and that great rank given to Hazrat Ma'suma Salamullahi alayha. One of the other ulama that we have is Marhum Muhammad Taqi Bafqi. He was hit in the shrine of Hazrat Ma'suma Salamullah alayha. Reza Khan, when he had removed the hijab, abandoned hijab on the women, so his wife and his family, the women, they came to Qum without hijab, and they wanted to enter this haram of Hazrat Ma'suma. Marhum Ayatullah Muhammad Taqi Bafqi, he stopped them. He stopped them, says that you cannot enter the haram without hijab. The sanctity and the honor of this haram is being tarnished by you entering in this way. They got offended. She is the first lady, the queen, and it's all those royal princesses who wanted to enter the haram, and this sheikh is stopping them. The message is given to Reza Shah. He got furious and he drove from Tehran to Qum. In 3-4 hours he reached there, and he says, who was the one who stopped my wife, the queen, and the princesses from entering the haram? Says this sheikh. He put him to the ground and he beat him. He himself entered the haram in boots, and he hit him so hard and caned that sheikh, and then tortures him, prisons him, moves him from one prison to another. And now this sheikh, all of these great ulama that I mentioned the names of them, among them is Ayatullah Araki Rahmatullah alayh, they said that many of them were eyewitnesses. They saw what had happened over there in the haram. He says this sheikh, when he was being beaten up by this mal'oon, the only thing that was being uttered was Ya Sahib az-Zaman, Ya Sahib az-Zaman. Says from one prison to another he was moved, and then he was sent to one of these prisons in Ahwaz, and there Imam Khomeini, he says regarding this sheikh, that if someone wants to see a true mu'min in this day and age, it is Sheikh Bafqi, a true mu'min who stood against a tyrant oppressor, and that is, did not allow him to enter the haram and break the sanctity of this sacred shrine. And he used to recite this in his Durus Akhlaq, Baz Amadam Musa Sifat Az Khud, regarding this sheikh, that is, whosoever wants to pay a visit, says Che khush buvad ke barayad be yek kereshme dokar ziyarat Shah Abdul Azim o didane yar. That is, when whoever comes to hear Shah Abdul Azim, it's a ziyarat that you are performing, but you're performing two great tasks. That is a ziyarat of the Imam Zadeh Abdul Azim, and at the same time the ziyarat of this sheikh who did not allow the royalties to enter the haram without hijab. Now he was calling Imam Zaman when he was being beaten up, and from the prisons as well. Another person, he says that when I saw Imam al-Asr alayhi salam in another mukashifa, I saw that Imam, he threw a javelin towards those prisons, and the next day he was also freed. That is by the dua of Imam al-Asr alayhi salatu wassalam. So there are ladies, there are women who have arrived at these high ranks and positions, and that is possible, and all the doors are open for everyone. And especially on these nights, that is starting from tonight for 40 days, these days be observed in the best of ways and best of manners, and the azkar also. Whichever zikr you like, repeat that a lot. And the best zikr is salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. May Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala help us observe the sanctity of the months and days and observances of our religion, and count us all among the best of the servants of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. Ya Allah, all those who have passed away, forgive them, elevate their ranks. Between us, Quran, and Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, never ever come across a moment of separation. Our children to be enlisted among the best of Muslims. All those who are ill and ailing, Allah grant them shifa. And hasten in the return of our Imam, our Master, our Hujjah, and count us all among His servants and those who seek shahadat in His service. وسبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.